Hello there and welcome to the panel. We're back. It's Wednesday and it's 12 o'clock. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. So we have got a new face on today. We have got Maria Hopwood, who has kindly joined us. I would say last minute yesterday, which is amazing. Where are we? I can't seem to find us online. Let me just see. But yeah, so she joined us she agreed yesterday to join because some of our regular members are unable to attend. So she's here with us. And I want you to make her feel really welcome. Make her feel really welcome. And then, of course, we've got Rochelle.
Hello. Hello. I've just we are live on my Facebook. I've just checked and I've shared it to my story. So
yes, I've just made you live. We're not live for some reason. We're not live on Instagram. Not sure why, but as we're talking, I'm gonna try and make it happen. So let's see. Ladies, today we are talking about. By the way, do you know what? Let's talk. Let's introduce Maria first, because I feel like, it's always good to know someone. So Rochelle, Maria, do you want to introduce yourself? What do you do?
I'm Maria. I live in Norfolk. I'm a virtual assistant and I love books. So I was excited to get this opportunity to talk about books.
Yay! Do you know what? It's always, so in the panel, we talk about all sorts of stuff. We talk about business. As women, we talk about business for other women. And the other day I was thinking, do you know what? We've not talked about books yet. And it's really good to have people who love reading to just come up and also talk about books and how they've changed your life and everything else. Maria, I'm going to just put it out there to you. What's been your favorite book of all time?
Oh, that's a tricky
and why
question. I read Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist once, and it was very thought-provoking. So that made me think quite a lot. So I'd say maybe that one. That's one I can think of at the top of my head. So
yeah, I think I've read that book twice actually. Once when I was a teenager, and once more recently. And it definitely is. I think it tells the story of how you're looking for something and you're searching, you're going on this massive journey, and then actually it's right back where you start.
So I read it every so often, so I think it's probably about time to reread it again actually. So
it goes back to the whole thing of, everything that you need is within you. It's like we tend to find out, we go looking for stuff that's not there, or that's already there when we think that maybe we're not good enough or enough. It actually reminds you that everything that you're searching for is already there. You just need to look and pay attention. It goes back to intuition, really. And I know that we've all been in that state where we don't think we've got something, and then you go, well, actually it is there. You're just not using all the faculties that you've been given to go out there and get that. So that's a great, I love The Alchemist. I think I've read The Alchemist about 4 times. I think ever so often I just dip in and I listen to it. I do a lot of listening as well. Do you read or do you listen, Rochelle?
A bit of both. So I like to read fiction books. But if I usually listen to business audiobooks.
I want to get onto that topic. What do you do, Maria? Do you read everything physically?
I read because I find that if I listen to something, then I kind of start thinking about something else, and then I've lost where I was, and I'm just not very good at listening to books. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I should try it again. But I just find that my brain goes off somewhere else when I'm trying to listen to something.
Concentration.
Fascinating. See, I'm like Rochelle, right? I mean, I used to read a lot when I was younger. I'm that kid who read all the books in the library to the point where the headmaster one day gave me a bag of books and said, you need to take these home and just keep reading them over and over again because we've run out of new books. We don't I just could not stop reading. And the older I got, I stopped reading. I got bored with reading. And I think it's because
usually when I've listened to a book, I've been on public transport. So I don't know if that. Oh, sorry,
no, go on.
You started freezing.
No, go on.
So I don't know if I've just interrupted.
No, go on.
But I was going to say, when I've been listening to books, it's usually when I've been on public transport. So that maybe I've just lost the trail of it because I've been looking out the window or something. So maybe I should, when I'm at home, I should try listening to a book.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think there's a right or wrong. I'm just intrigued that Rochelle and I have a similar pattern, because I think the last book I read back to back was what's the name of that book? 50 Shades of Grey. That's the last non-fictional book that I read. And I was like going through it. I was like, yeah, back to reading again. But I've got other books that I promise you I have not read that quickly at all, and stuff like books that had to do with business or to do with well-being and everything else. Rochelle, what's your favorite book of all time?
So, favorite book of all time. So I'm quite eclectic, is that the word, when it comes to reading. So I love teenage fiction type books. I never really grew up, so I continued to so when I go to pick a new book, I usually go to the kids section, the teenage section, because I like that fantasy. I like reading about fairies and witches and all that side of things. So some of my favorite books growing up were His Dark Materials. I don't know if you've heard of those books. They started making them into a film. I think they called it The Golden Compass, and the films were a bit of a flop, and then they made it into a series which was much better. And I loved the story behind it, and I got really I bought into the characters, and that's what I love. I love feeling like I'm in the book, and I love feeling like when I finish the book, I almost miss them. So the Hunger Games, that was an amazing one. I loved that that series of books. That definitely captivated me. But more recently, listening to the more educational mindset books. So the first audiobook I ever listened to actually was The Secret. And I think that's quite I don't know, in the property world, that's quite a stereotypical book. People listen to The Secret and then they listen to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And they're like the two mindset books that get you going onto audio. I would say either of them are the best books I've read, but they're definitely quite easy listens and get you thinking. And then more recently, I've got addicted to Frida McFadden, who's a fiction writer, and every book is just so easy to read, and I really dissolve into the book and just disappear, and I can finish one of those books in a day because they're just such easy books to read.
Yeah,
nice. So that's a good one. My childhood books were anything by Enid Blyton. For me, they were just an escapism, especially the Magic Faraway Tree. I loved, literally just loved them. But whenever somebody asks me about my favorite book or the most impactful book I've read, it has to be The Power of Now. That was the book for me that got me thinking. It was there's something more to what I'm doing. It allowed me to realize how much we don't say or do or be, and how everything is right there. And again, just to be present with ourselves. People talk about being present, and I think if you go back and read Eckhart Tolle, who's the author, his take on that book is phenomenal. And I always go back to that book. I see it as a book that you should read once every year. I always go back and just touch on it and what have you. And I've read another book recently that I love. I just think it's a fascinating book. And all the mistakes that I make in my life, I always go back and go, you got outwitted. It's called Being Outwitted by the Devil. I'm going to get the right. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. So it's one of Napoleon Hill's books. Most people know the book Think and Grow Rich, but Outwitting the Devil is just another one of his books. Phenomenal. I recommend, like, literally, if you're going through life and you're experiencing anything, whether it's procrastination or excessiveness, or it's in that book. It's amazing. Great book.
That's not one I've listened to. I've listened to The Power of Now, and actually I took ages before I listened to that because I knew I think it was one of my friends. She said she'd listened to it and it sent her a bit crazy. Like it was almost like she started obsessing over everything and trying to be present. And I'm like, oh, that sounds a bit scary. But then I can't remember too much about it, but I do remember it made me just think about how I'm always thinking about the future, and then you're like, actually, the future never comes, does it? Because it's always now. We have to live in that presence and sit here and enjoy the time that we've got. And it's that balance between enjoying now, but also taking those actions now, knowing that at some time the future does become now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Maria? Any other books you can think of?
I've kind of read so many. One book that I have actually listened to was Mel Robbins. Was it 5? The one where you count down to, I can't remember what it's called now.
I know what you mean. It's
the one where you kind of count down 5.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah. So I enjoyed listening to that because that was really interesting. And it's like, do things as soon as you think of them, kind of thing. So I don't always do that, but I try every time I need to do something. I kind of think of that and think I should just do it rather than think about it, because otherwise you can overthink things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not actually listened to that one, but I've heard a lot about it, and I think that is a big thing. Like, we often overthink everything, and I'm probably, I can definitely overthink, but often I just do a lot more impulsively and don't, because when you start to think about it, then you always talk yourself out of it, don't you? And you just
definitely.
like, right, 5, and then
I try and just do it rather than overthink it. Yeah, it's not easy though.
Yeah. It was interesting what you were saying about getting distracted when you're listening to books. So I tend to listen to audiobooks when I'm in the car, and I do quite a lot of long journeys. So I'll drive from where I am around Sheffield to Birmingham, or sometimes up to Glasgow. So I can be in the car for like a couple of hours at a time. And it does take quite a lot of concentration to listen to it. And often I will drift off and be thinking of something else. So I think that's the good thing about audiobooks. It's not taking up loads of your time, because normally I'd just be listening to the radio instead anyway. And you can listen to it back, but it just gets my mind just starts with all these ideas. I often listen to them on 1.5 speed as well. If I listen to it on just a normal speed, I don't concentrate. It's not going quick enough for me, so I have to, depending on the voice, often some people speak a bit faster.
Like
but that can be a good way to, or when I'm like walking or cooking tea or something like that, I always find I need to be doing something else. If I was just to sit in the house and listen to an audiobook, then I absolutely wouldn't be able to concentrate. I'd be just like picking up different things or scrolling on my phone. I do need that, like, to have that other distraction when I'm doing it. Whereas when I'm reading a book, so when I went on holiday last year, and in 2 weeks, even though I'd got the kids with me, I read 6 books. They were mostly Frida McFadden ones that are very easy to read. Concentrate on those kind of ones where it's not too complicated. But often when you want to relax, you don't want to be reading something that's too deep.
So one of the books that I absolutely love. So I've gone through different lists of books. There are books that I love by either people that I've met, people that I know, and I would say Matt Elwell's Open with a Close. Love that book. It's a book. I just believe that he wrote that book with his heart. Have you read it, Rochelle?
I have, yeah. Well, I listened to it.
You listen to it, yeah. So I've listened to it, and I've done a mixture of reading, and it's one of the few books that I've actually read and listened to at the same time.
I've got it up here actually on my shelf.
Yeah, it's a great book, only because before I knew how to sell, and I mean, goodness me, I'm still learning, but that book just explained sales in the greatest possible way. And it was so easy to read as well. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really, I think it's a simple step-by-step process, and I think a lot of the times books can be full of theory, but then you're like, right, great, what do I now do with that? Whereas I think in Matt's book it is very clear, isn't it? It's like, this is the process that you need to follow to become great at sales. And I think in business, like, sales is one of the most important things. You need to be able to get leads, and you need to be able to make sales. If you can't do those two things, then you're not
business. Yeah.
So they need to be everyone's priority.
What was it called?
It is called Open with a Close by Matt Elwell. It's a great book. Great. Like, literally fascinating. It's just an easy book, and Matt's so down to earth. He just it's just his life. But
I think especially in a time where sales can be quite sleazy, and it's got a stigma against it, and people feel so uncomfortable selling because they feel like it's a bad thing, it's a dirty word, they don't want to sell. Like, the way Matt teaches sales is in a much more, like, it feels more ethical. It feels like you're doing them you're serving them. It does talk about that, doesn't it? About serving them, rather than, like, you're not trying to convince them to buy from you. You're trying to see, like, what are their problems and how can you solve those problems, and making it, putting the decision in their hands rather than it being forced.
Yeah, for me, I'll tell you why I love the book so much. Is I'd never heard of sales scripts until I met Matt. So, like, there's a way to speak, and a way to ask powerful questions, and I still do sometimes get stuck on, well, what do I say? Like, how do I phrase it so that it's not a wasted opportunity? And what Matt has done is very carefully looked at every situation in sales, or most situations in sales, and gone, this is how I would ask it, and this is the pattern of the conversation. I just find it really good. So if you haven't seen that one, I encourage you to go. We're going to tag all the books that we've mentioned in here as well, so that people can go back to. Rochelle, what's another book that you've read that you think?
So at the moment, I'm listening to The One Thing, which I know you've also
I've listened to.
And that has really opened my eyes, and that's what I love about audiobooks, and the fact that I can do it while I'm in the car, and I'm not like just wasting my time singing along songs. I do still love singing along songs in the car, but I also love learning in there. Like, I'm obsessed with learning, and the one thing is making it really clear for me that I'm trying to do everything, and I'm focusing my attention on lots of different things, and I'm actually neglecting like the most important aspects of my business. So listening to that, it's helping me to focus my time and attention more, and it's talking about, like, the importance of, like, booking in your holidays and your time off before you're booking any appointments. It's talking about making time for planning, which is one of my biggest weaknesses. Whenever I plan, everything goes so much better and so much smoother. I self-sabotage, and I'm like, I don't need to plan. I know I do. And it talks about, like, making sure you're booking in that time for your planning, and then making sure you're booking in, like, the third thing to book in is time to do the one thing that's going to move your business forward. Like, what's that one thing you can do? And it talks about it what's the one thing you can do over the next year that's going to move your business forward? What's the one thing you can do this month? What's the one thing you can do today? If you concentrate on that, it makes everything else that you do easier. So I do believe that I've already probably been doing this in my business without knowing. So when I've been growing my property business, my one thing was LinkedIn. So it was showing up on LinkedIn every single day, no matter what, like posting, having conversations on there. And I dedicated my any spare time to get invisible on LinkedIn. And I think that's what one of the things that worked for me. When I look at other people who started out in property at the same time as me and they've dropped off and they've not made it work, they didn't concentrate on that one thing. Instead, they were concentrating on putting together spreadsheets and putting together contracts and viewing properties. And actually, the first thing that they needed to do was find the client for the business. So it's what's that one thing that you can concentrate on that will make everything else easier. And I think pretty much for everyone, it's going to be getting the clients. Once you've got, then you can start focusing on other things like the delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like something I need to read as well. That sounds really good. So I'll look at that one up as well, because you're saying about LinkedIn being the one thing you needed to concentrate on. I definitely need to concentrate on LinkedIn because I'm very bad at it. And so I definitely need to concentrate on that.
Well, I've got my Facebook group, Get Invisible on LinkedIn. You can join that. There's lots of tips in there.
Okay.
That's my other business.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely speak to Rochelle. She's amazing at LinkedIn. And I mean, so when I read The One Thing, it's funny, we had a conversation about this the other week, didn't we? And so it's one of those books where it's like I need to open up again and listen to, because all these books, they've all got different inspirational bits. And the one thing I'll say about books is that reading them once isn't enough. Sometimes you need to read them over and over again, because every time you read them, you get something else out of it and stuff like this. There's something else. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
It's really funny. My Wi-Fi, like my whole computer's just shaking. Going, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Well, anyway, so we'll keep on going. So one of the other books that I've read that I really enjoyed was, and I'm going, which one should I talk about? I loved .com Secrets.
Oh yeah,
by Russell Brunson. Oh my God! When I read, I
Sorry's a proper Russell fangirl, by the way.
Listen, oh my, do you know what it is? I love Russell as the incredible human being he is. I've met him. I just think he is just amazing. Like, yeah, it's like I met him. I was like, okay, I don't need to meet anybody else. I was like, he's just such a lovely human being. But before I ever met him, I read his book, and I believe that everybody who has a book should have the same should create the same impact, which was, how have I not read this book before? Like, everything I've learned about being online, you could tell that he was a pioneer in that space. And the way he explains it, I was like, oh my God. And it was little things like knowing why you do certain things. You know, it's like it went so much more deeper than being tactical, you know, like, oh, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do. So it actually explained why. So it gave me a better understanding. So I'll give you a good example, because I know there's online people speaking here. But even having a sequence for, say, for example, for a lead magnet, I never knew why you needed a sequence for a lead magnet and stuff. It's like, it didn't make sense. Like, I was just like, yeah, I've been told to create a lead magnet, and I'm going to, you know, create a sequence. And I remember once and stuff, I was like, oh, I can't bother to do a sequence. So at once I had a lead magnet that had no sequence in it. So, and Russell explained it, and he goes, well, you need to nurture your leads. Like, when they come in, then what? It's like, it's not just enough for them to be on your email list. Like, you need to nurture them, you need to speak to them, I didn't know that. And when I read this book, I was like, oh my God. Like, and there's other things in there as well. So I loved .com Secrets. I think it's one of his best books. I mean, I love the others anyway, because I've read those as well. But
I think what's amazing about Russell is he's obsessed with like analyzing and improving. It's like that testing and measuring, which is so important to marketing. And I was saying this to you yesterday, weren't I, Victoria, about like putting things out there and seeing how the how your audience reacts, and then going, okay, this one worked really well, but this one didn't get the reaction I expected, so let's do more like this one that worked. And then it's so obsessed with it that he's just building this like perfect formula, and just looking deeper and deeper into it and seeing what works for other people. And he'll go into, like, he'll look at someone who's making loads of sales, and he'll be looking at like what's their process, like what are they talking about, how's their website laid out, how's their sales process working, are they upselling something there? And he calls it hacking, doesn't he? He then takes that and sees how he can put that into his business and into his sales funnels.
Yeah. He's really, do you know what? He's obsessed with finding the problem of the client. Like, I think he does it better than anybody I know. He really is obsessed with finding the problem of his client. Like, he will dig deep, and everything he creates is to make your life better. Every single thing he creates is, and some people say, yeah, but he's made all that money and so he doesn't need to. But he's always been like that. And if you go back to the videos and see that level of obsession and commitment, and it's just fascinating. But yeah, if you haven't read the book,
no, I haven't read that either. So that's 3 books I now need to read.
I feel like I've got a big, massive, long
great recommendations.
Yeah, I think it's. Do you know what? And the thing is, though, it's like with some books. So, for example, like 10x is better than 2x.
Oh, great.
I started reading it. I haven't finished it.
Oh, you haven't?
I agree with the form. I agree with the mentality of it and stuff, but I haven't finished reading it. And it's something that I know I'm going to go back to read. So it's like, I don't think this is about, oh my God, go buy all these books and start reading. I think it's more like, well, what's my need right now? And, you know, and there's other books that we may not touch on that are still equally as good.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's still useful. What other book do you want to talk about, Maria?
Well, as far as business books, I've read a few, but I can't remember their names. But the last one I kind of go back to again and again is Lisa Johnson's Make Money Online, because that's really helpful. So she's really inspiring. So I read through that occasionally and write notes and things just to help me. Yeah. So I really like reading that. So
yeah,
that's easy to dip in and out. So.
Yeah, similar to Matt Elwell's book, in that it gives you everything you need. Like, it's a step-by-step instruction, like, for how to launch your online business, isn't it? And I think that formula, that format always works really well. Do you know what I did? I asked ChatGPT what books I should know. I was like, knowing where I am, because ChatGPT knows a lot about me because I tell it lots.
Yes,
what you recommend I read. And so some of them, so it recommended the one thing. It recommended 10x is better than 2x, which I'd already read. It recommended the big leap, because I'm looking to like grow my businesses massively this year. So it was giving me all these books that could help me to do that. So if you can tell ChatGPT exactly where you are, some books that you've enjoyed reading, what you're wanting to do in your business, then it'll give you some amazing recommendations.
That's a good idea. Yeah, thank you.
There you go. We do love a bit of ChatGPT and stuff. ChatGPT is like where we go to. So I'll sit here and go, oh, I don't know the answer. Let's ask ChatGPT. So yeah.
I'm trying to make more use of it.
Yeah. And Maria, actually, before I go to Rochelle, you talked about, you said nothing for business, but we're not just talking about business. The only reason why the books I've got at the moment are business books is because I'm just so obsessed with my business that that's all I read. But what about non-business books?
So I really like reading travel books, but also obviously fiction novels. So one of my favorite writers is Marianne Keyes, because she's very observational and she's funny, and you can't stop reading her books because they make you think as well. And so I really love Marianne Keyes, but I also enjoy reading crime novels. So a bit eclectic there, but so. Yeah.
I used to read crime novels, and I used to read, I can't remember the names, but I used to read crime novels, and I used to read some of Myron Keyes' books. And I also used to read, is it Sophie Kinsella?
Yes.
I used to read her as well and stuff. So
yeah,
I remember. So would you talk about travel books? Here's a question: would you read a travel book even if you're not going traveling?
Yes, I do, because it's really inspiring. And because I usually travel by myself, so it's really interesting reading solo travel books and Bill Bryson books. He's my favorite. My favorite travel kind of books. And I just like reading about people's travels, because I might not get to do that, but it's really good to read what other people have done. So and the weirder the better.
What's your favourite location that you've read about?
I don't know about location, but one of my favourite travel kind of books was The Shipping Forecast. I don't know if you ever read that. So, and I can't remember his name, so I'm bad at remembering names. So the Shipping Forecast, like on the radio, The Shipping Forecast, this guy decided to travel everywhere on the shipping forecast. And it was just such a fascinating thing, because some of the places are obviously really random and just completely out there, where you probably wouldn't normally visit, but he visited them all. And I just reading stuff like that, where people do these really weird challenges and write about them and on their travels and that kind of thing. So,
and then do you often visit those places that you've read about in the travel book?
I've put them on my list of places to visit. So I just really like reading what other people have done and how they've done it and where they've gone, that kind of thing, and end up wishing I could write like that.
What's the shipping forecast? Are you talking about the weather forecast?
Yeah, so on it's usually on Radio 4, I think. So the shipping forecast is literally for fishermen and those kind of people who are out in the seas, and it explains the weather, the kind of ocean weather to them. And so the shipping forecast, it just features certain places and helps like the fishermen and people who work on the sea to know what the weather's going to be like in those places. It's quite specific and scientific. So this guy decided he'd visit literally all the places that are on that forecast.
Amazing.
So,
where's your favourite place that you've travelled to?
Me, Portugal. I really like Portugal.
Oh, yeah, Portugal's nice.
Yeah,
I went to Portugal last year with Chris, my partner, and that we loved it there. We had so much good food.
Yeah, I spent a month there last October, November. So it was really good. So definitely.
I call Portugal the white man's Africa, because it just has, because it's so, in Rochelle's words, very eclectic. Like it's like you get there, like the food is so fresh, and it's like if you want to live really basically but amazingly, you can do everything's and it's so easy to get to. And every time I go to Portugal, I go, oh my god, I'll be back next week, and then it'll be 2 years before I go back again, because it's so close as well. And I'm like, every time I get there, I'm like, why am I not here every weekend?
I know what you mean.
Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I do have a massive soft spot. Anybody who goes to Portugal on holiday, I go, I know you're gonna have fun. Whatever happens, I know you're gonna have fun.
Definitely.
So last books, Rochelle. Give us another one.
Books. Oh, do you know what book I've always really loved listening to is the Chimp Paradox?
Okay. Do you know what? Now that's making me go and check that. I don't think I know it, but I don't know if I've watched it.
It's so interesting to think about like how your brain works. It's quite like it's a psychology book, I suppose, but it puts it into much simpler terms and talks about like the different parts of your brain, like your computer that you can train to do things, and then you've got your chimp that's really impulsive. And I think it, like, listening to that makes you much more observant about your own behavior. So definitely, if I've not listened to it for a while, actually, I do need to listen to it again. It's one of these things. There's so many new books that I want to listen to, and so many books that I want to go back and listen to. And I do get to a stage where I'll listen non-stop in the car for ages, and then I'll need a little break, and then I'll just listen to music, and then I'll go back to listen again. At the moment, I'm doing lots of watching YouTube videos. So in the morning, I'll be cooking the kids some pancakes, and I'll just put I'll put like Myron Golden, who me and Victoria love, on YouTube. So I'm just I'm doing that at the moment, which I think is it's good to get those different like books are much more. They've got a beginning, a middle, and an end, haven't they? Whereas a YouTube video, it's just like nice little short, like, oh, I can listen to this 20-minute, get some inspiration, ready to start my day off in a positive way. So it's nice to have that morning boost.
Yeah. So I was actually going to talk about Myron's book. So from Trash Man to Cash Man. So Myron Golden has an incredible book. Actually has two books, Boss Moves and Trash Man to Cash Man. Great books. And he's so no nonsense, is Myron. I just love the way he comes across. I've been obsessed with him. I met him in 2018. And loved him from that moment. And he wasn't even successful. He wasn't successful then. Like he was on his way up. And I met him.
Got his number then. You should have got his number then.
I know. But his love story to his wife is just phenomenal. And I remember one day coming across him online, and I was like, oh my god, it's that bloke. And then I started listening to him, and I was like, oh my god. And then I told all my friends, including Russia, I was like, oh my god, you need to check out Myron Golden. And everybody's like, yeah. I'm like, you need to check him out.
I feel like we talk about him every week. He always makes some sort of appearance. We can't do a show about him.
But it's really funny because he's actually a client of Russell's, which is so funny. But it's just, when somebody's doing something like he's just doing, I just love everything that he does. He's so, and I've spoken to him, like, oh my god, he's so strict as well. He's so straight talking, and what have you. Is like, he's amazing at what he does. But the way he's one of the best communicators I know. I used to think Tony Robbins was a good communicator. And don't get me wrong, every time I enter into a room with Tony, I go, oh my God, I've missed his voice. Like, Tony's an amazing communicator, but oh my God, like Russ, what's his name? Myron is just a different level. And yeah, just exceptional. But yeah, his book, Trash Man to Trash Can, is amazing. I've just read it. And then Boss Moves, I've read. I need to read again. Because I feel like there's so much I've learned since, like sometimes you read a book and then you go, I've learned so much that if I read that book again, it'll mean something completely different to me.
Yeah.
And that's where I am with Boss Moves. And he's so, especially around, if you're in business, I think everybody needs to listen to Myron Golden. And maybe it's not everybody's, but even people like, Alex Hormozy, they're all students of Myron, of Russell. But they all focus on specific aspects of the customer journey. So Myron talks about offers, like make more offers, and Alex talks about offers and leads and everything else and stuff. And I think they're just all doing incredible things. And the books, I've read all those books, by the way. I've read Alex's books, I've read Myron's books, I've read Russell's books. And sometimes you sit there and go, that's a lot. Then it makes you then go to the one thing, then go, what's the one thing you need to focus on? Because it's too much. But great conversation, though. I feel like we've touched more on business than real life. Are there any, if there was a motivational book that you'd suggest, Maria, can you think of a motivational book?
I'd go back to Mel Robbins because she's very motivational, I think. And I listen to her or read her and I think, oh yeah, that's what I need to do. Definitely need to do it.
I'm loving the podcast at the moment. I'm loving her podcast is really good. I'm not a follower of Mel. I've bought her book, but I've not read it, the Let It Go thing or whatever it's called. Let them. Yeah.
Let it go.
Let it go. Yeah. But I've come across her podcast and I've listened to about 2 or 3 and I find them really good. Like I quite like them.
Yeah. I think she's really motivational, and the way when I have listened to her, like I've listened to a couple of her podcasts and read her books and that kind of thing, and you kind of think, yeah, right, that's what I'm going to do. So and then I have to go back to it because I didn't do it. So yeah, so I go back to her every so often because she is I think she's very motivational. So yeah.
Rochelle?
So I was just looking through all my books then to see what I've listened to, and I'm like, wow, I've listened to a lot of books.
Yeah,
it's actually amazing to look at how many I've listened.
I know where my money goes. I can tell you that. And so when I look at my Audible account, I'm like, yep.
Yeah. So one that I listened to, which is amazing, Solve for Happy by Mo Godat. So he's someone who I met at the round table at EA.
Yeah.
Players, and he's like, I always think when he's speaking, it's like he's channeling God or something. Like it's so it's such a deep, interesting person. But Solve for Happy is really good. He's got a mission where he wants to help make, I think it's something like 1 million or 100 million people happy. Wow. And he lost his son. His son passed away, and it was in the books about his search for happiness after that, how he could still manage to be happy and come from a place like in his life having lost his son. So I think for anyone who's struggling, who's feeling like they're not enjoying life, that's a really beautiful book to listen to and read. It's got a really good message behind it, and it just makes you appreciate life a lot more.
I find it so interesting that you and I met. I mean, it's normal, right? We're not meant to like the same people, but I met Mo, and we both met Mo. We both met Russell, and it's just interesting because, like, whilst I thought Mo was okay, and he is an engaging speaker, I'm nowhere in love with him like you are.
But were you at the round? You weren't at the round table, were you, with Mo?
No,
I think that was the difference, because when you were in that room, it was I've been to 4 of them round tables. That one was really spiritual, and it felt like I had my uncle with me, and we came out and we both said the same thing. It was like being sat in a room with God. Like the wisdom coming out of him was just unreal. Whereas when he was on the stage and he was getting asked questions about AI, obviously he's a really intelligent man, and he worked for Google X, and is so clever, and he's got a lot more to him than just the spiritual side. And I don't think we necessarily saw that from him standing on stage in the same way.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with AI. I don't know. It's just intriguing. I get what you mean because the round tables are quite intimate and stuff. But it's like with Russell. I fell in love with Russell before we even went into the round table. Look at you laughing at me. She always laughs at me whenever I talk about Russell and stuff because I'm literally, I can't help myself. I just love good people. He was just a good man. Like it's just, yeah. No, I just find it interesting. I took a picture.
Yeah, it takes a lot to impress you, doesn't it? Like that's one thing that we've a lot. I feel lucky that she's chosen me to be a friend, because it takes so much to impress her. She's like, nah, I can only like 2 people. That's Russell. I don't want any space in my heart for anyone else.
I do love Mo stuff. It was interesting, but like you say, there's a sound. It's almost like, but again, what's her name? Denny Stuffle Thomas. Like when I saw her on stage, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so shocked because I didn't know who she was. And I was so impressed by her. And then, when we went into the room, if I'm honest, even in the room, I was like, I
thought in the room she was really good, but on stage she was a bit wild.
Do you think so? But even in the room, I still liked her. But I don't know. Anyway, it's all a different experience, isn't it? Anyway, go on.
No, I was going to say, I feel like I want to recommend a book to Maria, but I feel like I need to know, like what are you, if you don't mind sharing, like what's something that you're wanting to either improve, get better at, or something you're struggling with?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Just getting more clients, really. I'm networking and that kind of thing. I need to do more on LinkedIn, but I still think there's more I could do. So, yeah.
So you need to be getting more leads.
Yeah.
So we talked about Alex. I think that's a good book to read.
Alex Hormozi's book on more leads is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good book. Which one was it that he did? Hang on. Do you remember he released a book 2 years ago or so, and it broke the internet? Do you remember that?
I think that was this one.
Was it the Bleeds one?
So we have
more offers. Yeah, one was offers. One was.
So I was on holiday in Thailand when this book came out, and they had a webinar.
Yes.
So he did this webinar, and there was like thousands and thousands of people on the webinar, and he was giving all this information away for free. And then he basically everything he was doing was for free. You could get all his course on leads for free. Wow. I think the only thing he was selling was his book, and that was it. So he was just showing you like how to bring in all these leads to your business, and again it's one of those, like we mentioned with Matt and with Lisa. Everything that he says is quite simple, but that makes it really easy to understand and easy to digest, and then easy to take action from it. So it's really good. And like I've got this book here on my desk. I've listened to it. I have not read it. But I do love physical books. I do like to have copies of them, and I have intentions to read it.
Yeah,
so that's why it's on my desk.
Thank you. I'll look up that book as well.
Definitely do.
Yeah, do read it. And also a lot of his courses are still for free. So if you go to acquisition.com, he has a lot of courses on there. But if focus on the leads bit, like we all need to and stuff. It's like we're not saying it because we are we've got it self, like we still work on our leads and everything else, our lead generation. But he's a really good space to be. Anyway, we could talk about books all day. It's been a different conversation. Let us know what you think. If there's a book that we haven't mentioned, then please let us know. I'm always open to increasing my reading books. I've got several books that I haven't read still. I'm still working through them. I'll tell you what I didn't mention. Oh my God. So very quickly, I have invested in Speechify. So Speechify is where you like to listen to books, but the book may not be on Audible, so there may not be an audio version. And what Speechify does, and I'm not an affiliate or anything, but you scan the book, and then you choose the voice, and it will read the book for you, and it is amazing. Is all I can say. It's fantastic. It's how I read Trash Man to Trash Can. But
you have to scan each page. Is that what you do?
You scan
each page.
But the camera on Speechify is designed to identify the 4 edges of the page. So as soon as it sees the 4 edges of the page, it'll scan it automatically. And the only thing that I always say to people is remember to save. So once you finish scanning, maybe 10, 12 pages or whatever, 20 pages, remember to save. And there's nothing wrong maybe saving maybe 20 pages at a time, just in case. But yeah, just save it, because otherwise you lose it. But great reading, love it. I've gone through a couple of books already on it. I think it's amazing.
Sounds good.
Yeah, just an option, because not everybody reads differently. I was talking to my physio yesterday, and him and I have some interesting conversations. And I was talking to him about reading. I was like, it's really bugging me, I said, I don't know why I can't just pick up a book and just read it. I said, I used to do this. And he actually said something which was really interesting. And he goes, your ancestors believed in storytelling. And it's true, because my grandma could not read or write. And she would gather us in front of this little fire that would warm her legs in the evening. And we would sit there and she would tell us stories. And that's how I've always absorbed information. to the point where when I used to work in corporate, I would get one of my staff to read a massive document and I'd go, let's walk and you can tell me what's in the document. And that's how I used to absorb that's how I used to absorb information. So it's interesting. So he mentioned that. I was like, oh my God, yeah, do you know what? We all definitely read or absorb information differently. So if whichever way that is, there's no right or wrong. It's just about, the most important thing is that you read, you absorb information, and you fulfill your purpose. That's what I say.
I'm always trying to encourage like family members to read more. Like I'm really lucky. I suppose I say I'm lucky. Both my kids are big readers, especially Maisie, my little girl. She's 10. She reads every night. She reads books over and over again. She gets quite a deep understanding. She also loves writing. So if she's not reading at bedtime, she's writing. Joshua's not quite as obsessed with reading, but he does read every night, and I don't have to put any pressure on them. Whereas like one of my friends who's got kids the same age, they absolutely refuse to read. So I think it's I don't know if it's part luck or the fact that I love books, so I've always read to them, and I've done like silly voices when reading like the kids' books. So Julia Donaldson, she was our favorite author. Like she's got loads of amazing books that are fun for kids, and I think instilling that love quite early on. Like Maisie didn't really play with toys, she'd just be sat there reading the books and she'd memorize all the words. So she was telling like I'd be like, is she reading the Gruffalo? But she'd just remembered all the words from me reading it, and I got to a point where I knew all the words off by heart as well. I didn't even need to open the book at bedtime, I'd just tell it her.
Oh, bless her. It's good though. Yeah. Do you know what? I don't know. I mean, my dad used to say to my brother all the time, read. And my dad always used to emphasize how important it was to read. You are on a different wavelength the more you read, for sure, because you're absorbing knowledge that everybody's privy to, but not everybody chooses to absorb. And every time I read a book, there's always something new that I pick from it and what have you. It's one of the reasons why I love listening to podcasts, a bit like yourself, Rochelle, and stuff. I love listening to podcasts. And even yesterday, I was listening I think I listened 3 back-to-back Myrons and stuff. And it's just that constant fire, because it's really easy to lose that fire inside you when you're dealing with so many things and stuff. And sometimes you just need someone just to remind you why you're doing what you're doing and stuff, and just to give you that to go out there and just do more, or do better, should I say. So yeah, I always love a book. So please let us know what books you think we've missed out on. There's so many more that we could talk about, but until next time, we'll see you later. Maria, thank you so much for joining us.
That's Kevin. I've really enjoyed it, and picking up recommendations as well.
Lovely to meet you.
You too.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.